share Brooks's story because Brooks has got a rough story. Brooks is now working with us at Twisted Dough. He's one of the main guys in the back that carries the team all day, every day. You heard his rough story. I've done all the drugs too. Luckily, I did them in my younger age, okay? I've done all the drugs, guys. I didn't get addicted in the sense of like Brooks. I just had some kind of different mentality. I did them, I experienced them, I had fun, then I grew up. And then when I grew up, I wanted to do something with my life. And this is where my story starts. I got a degree. I went to do nursing, and something just kept telling me I'm not quite happy here, right? And so I wanted to own a business, I thought. I didn't know what it took. I didn't have a family that could financially support me to do it. I didn't have anybody to find. It was going to either be me or it wasn't going to happen. So that's when I said, you know, if I could at least pay my bills and open my dream, I would just do it. Now, it started out of my house. It started with nothing. Most people have loans or fancy dads that help them get whatever they want, right? I didn't have that. I just had to start with whatever I believed in. Luckily for me, I'm glad I went through some bad kind of early in my life. Luckily, I didn't end up in, there's plenty of times I should have been arrested, guys. Plenty of times. I drove way too drunk. I was on a drug I shouldn't have been out in public in. And I got lucky. So I always remembered that going into wanting to have a business. I remembered how lucky I was to not end up anywhere. And it's a blessing that it break me in tears because most people don't get that opportunity sometimes, right? So I was given another opportunity, and I am Christian as well. My family really pushes religion on me. They're big. But I am baptized, but that's not even that. Like I just didn't follow the way my mother pushed it on me, but I had my own beliefs. Now, you can't have your own beliefs because the Bible is the Bible. You're supposed to believe what the Bible believes, right? But I hold those standards to my own standard. And that being said, those standards did what kept me at least semi-grounded. After I realized, oh my gosh, I did not end up in jail. I could have been put away for years. I realized I've got to start living by these standards. Now, you're never perfect. I fell off these standards. Now, I didn't really ever go back to drugs, but sure drinking. You'll fall off your standards, but you have to know when you wake up the next day, and say you get too drunk at night, you wake up the next day and you're like, I should not have done that. Oh my gosh. You just say your thanks. You thank God for not ending up in another place, and you do better. You take what you learned and you do better. So that going forward, I opened my business, Twist Foods. It was a very rough journey. Very rough journey. I was having to do it from the ground up. I didn't know what I was doing. I'd never even been an entrepreneur. And I had a friend that was my financial officer. I grew up with him in elementary school. His mom, my mom worked together. My grandma worked with him. And our business grew pretty fast. And our business grew because my heart of how I treated others, how I spoke to others. People believed in what I was doing. And more so, I just put love into them, right? You gotta treat people with love. You gotta give them love, and you gotta invest in them. So I invested in every person that walked through my building. But what I forgot as I was investing into other people is how much it was taking away from me, and it was ruining me minute and piece by piece. And then I got to the part in my business where I didn't know if I could go on. I was so mentally drained. Workers, I don't know if they knew what they were doing. I don't know why I didn't feel like we were making profit. I felt like something was happening. So I called my COO, my friend Cade. His name's Cade. And I called him. I said, you need to give me some more money. I deserve it. Here's my selfish part, but thank goodness I was selfish in this one instance. You got to give me more money, or you got to show up and help. We didn't want to do it, and I was just so stressed out, y'all, at this point. I literally walked out of my facility, left all the people that loved me. It killed them. And I drained my bank accounts, and I packed what in my car I thought could fit. I didn't care what I was going to do the next day. I didn't care if I was going to be a barista. I didn't know if I was going to go down a dark hole. And I left my business, left them. My mother at that worked for me. My mom had quit her 20-year career to work for me. I had people that were overqualified working for me. And here I am just running away from my problems. Running away from my problems like nobody else mattered. But luckily, people that do love you, they're going to give you grace in that. And they gave me grace. They knew how bad my mentality had gotten. I thought I wanted to quit my dream job, nursing, to do my own dream, right? But your dream can also take from you, and it can send you into weird spots in your life, okay? So at that point, you have a choice to overcome those weird spots, which are really hard, because it's only you versus you right here, or you can choose to run away. I ran away. Everybody gave me grace. I didn't know. I slept for days before I could even make a decision, before I even talked to my own mother. And a couple days later, I'm like, well, if the business just fails while I'm gone, I guess it just goes away, and I would just stay away, and I would do whatever led me be. Luckily, I had people who loved me who were like, we're not going to let you mess up your life that bad. Okay, we're not going to let you mess it up that bad. We're going to hold on to everything we got. They let me get to a good place in my head. And at that point, that's where I said, you know, like, my fear of failure was always the biggest part of starting this business. Failing, right? And I felt like it was failing. It was overwhelming. People were overwhelming. Customers were overwhelming. I know you get it. You probably have some overwhelming factors. It doesn't have to be people. It can be things going on in your life. It could be what you're going through. It could be anxiety. It could be depression. It could be moms. It could be an activity you do for the day. It can be as simple as that. But I finally, day 3, I remember my best friend, her husband is a professional golfer, and they happened to be in Florida, and they said, we don't care where you drive, you're driving here. And I drove all the way to Florida, and one night got there at 4 in the morning, and she said, you're just going to sleep. You have to at least come somewhere safe. Then if you want to run off from the rest of the world, you can. So luckily I had somebody in my corner who said, at least you're coming here to sleep. And I remember on day 3, all her family was in town. I was so embarrassed of, like, I've run away from my home. Everybody knows I've ran away. I've stolen all the money out of my own bank account. And I've left all these people that care for me, and now these people are maybe judging me. But I couldn't think about anybody else judging me, right? Because if you think about people judging you or you get worried about it, you're never going to be able to heal. So I had to think about myself. I slept like a rock. I didn't worry about calling my mom and tell her I was okay. I had to do something for myself. And day 3, I was like, what am I doing? What have I done? I've already messed up. And you may feel like, what am I doing? I have already freaking messed up. There's no going back. I thought, I can't even face people in my building. Like, they all know I ran away now. How am I going to face 25 employees who are like, you just up and left us? Like, we did, you know, they up and did that to me every day. And it was so stressful when people don't show up and you're doing 5 people's jobs, or you feel very alone, or you need a mental break and nobody would give you that, right? So it was super embarrassing. But I remember Chris's mom coming in that room that day and telling me about the story of when she felt that way. So that moment I thought, nobody's ever told me they feel the way I do, or they're going through what I'm going through. Now I have a mom, I have a family who, everything's perfect, it's going to be okay, Jesus is going to take care of it. And I'm like, that's not how I feel right now. And I'm sure some of you feel like that. But I had to really remember that I'm not the only one there. Chris's mom assured me, like, I got to that point in my life, and she did something to her children. And so I didn't feel so alone at that moment. I didn't feel so scared. And then that's when I made that call. Made that call to my family. Made that call to my employees. And I apologized. There's nothing else I could do. Whether they accepted my apology or not, if they're good humans, they'll accept your apology. Because no matter what you do, you're going to mess up major in your life. No matter what you do, you're going to mess up. And all you have to do is ask for forgiveness and say, I'm sorry. Said, I'm sorry. They said, okay. We're going to have a talk when you get back. And that's something you really want to run from. That's where my growth of me started coming in. That's something I've been like, no, I ain't. We're just going to ignore it and keep going. Yeah. So I had to have that talk, you know. They said, but you know what? Take another week. If you need a week, take a week, breathe, get together whatever you need to get together, and then get ready to come back. So instead of taking that week and just drinking myself to death, or just sleeping, or not confronting my own head and my own self with my problem. It was basically like, here's me, Rose, what are you doing? And on the other side going, I don't really know. And I did that over and over, and I would talk it out with my friends right there and talk it out to myself, just like, what are you doing right now? What decision are you making? You now have a choice. And the choice is huge, because now you have uprooted your entire freaking life and a business that's running, and like, holy crap, what are you going to do? So I chose at that point, what is stressing me out? What's putting me in this deep, dark hole that I've ran away, right? And so I'd face those comments in my head. And what made me want to run away was my business was not successful. It was successful. It was that my workers didn't really know what I'm doing. Everybody in Jonesboro wanted Rose to make their meal prep. Well, I am one human, and we were doing the workload where we had 20 workers working, you know. I didn't feel like anybody took me seriously. And Cade was really annoying, and you're going to find out why. He was never there for me. He was supposed to be my business partner. He was supposed to be stepping up and helping me. But at that point, nothing mattered. At this point, only I own this business. I chose to do these dreams. It's now my choice to change this thing around. So I did. I spent that whole week redesigning how Twisted Foods was going to run. I decided I was going to make strict policies and procedures, change who I kind of was as a person going back. Everybody knew me as kind of Nazi Rose. It was my way or the highway. I was pretty darn strict in my business, but because I was stressed out. So I thought, what if I do something different? What if I start treating people better, even though I'm stressed out and they're the one causing my stress? What if I change the way I treat people? What if when somebody stresses me out, instead of, you're supposed to do it this way, why wouldn't you? Going, hey, why'd you choose to do it that way? Can we chat about it? And at that point in my life, everything turned around. I was like, whoa, I have not been working on myself. Maybe I'm the problem. So I went back to Jonesboro, Arkansas. We redid Twisted Foods. It did incredible. The growth started going off. Everybody forgave me. We cried it out. We talked about the implementations, and everybody at that point were like, we're going to get behind you now. And it changed because I changed. And maybe I wasn't completely the whole problem, but I still made a choice to take ownership for my part of it because they do work for me. They've given up their jobs. I didn't ask them to have this career and own a business. I just asked them to work there, and they wanted to work and go home, right? So on in Twisted Foods, it was great. Still got stressful on down the road. And then I thought, I got to such a good mentality place, I worked on myself, I thought my dreams could even be bigger. How could I handle any more stress when I couldn't handle it? And about 2 months later, I'm like, my dreams could be bigger. So I think I'm gonna open a store in a bigger city, Nashville, Tennessee. I'm like, my dreams are bigger than this. This is probably my stress. I'm not fulfilling my full dream. I'm not fulfilling myself. So that's where you could look. Maybe you don't feel like you're fulfilling yourself in whatever you're doing. State that dream out loud. Say what it is, but then do something about it. People always say, how did you get where you got, Rose? Well, a lot of people are dreamers, but they're not doers. And you can only dream so many dreams before you actually have to implement and do. And that could be a business or in yourself. So I dreamed of who I wanted to be as Rose, and I dreamed of what I wanted to do in business. That being said, we started building Nashville. I told Kate, this is what I want to do. I want to build Nashville, Tennessee. I want 2 store locations. This is what's going to make me happy. So we started doing that. It's a year-long adventure. We build out in Nashville. We get approval. I built a building from the ground up. I put the color in it. I put the lights in it. I drew the architectural structure and gave it to the firm and let them do it because I wanted to show myself I changed and I'm a doer and I can do this. I can get it done. So we do that. We have a terrible time. We have a lot of employees that, again, yet cause me a lot of stress, which is how Brooks is even involved in this one. Some of my workers came down, were on drugs, and trashed a hotel room. And I'm in Nashville, Tennessee, trying to run a business in Jonesboro, Arkansas. My normal staff over here is like, what are we doing? Help, Rose. And I'm in Nashville. Well, Brooks happened to be at the hotel that night. They all trashed it. They slashed his tires. I didn't really know Brooks then. They slashed his tires. He calls me. I'm in Nashville, Tennessee. Like, your workers are here? And I'm stressed out. You can imagine I probably could have had a good mental breakdown at that. But again, I chose, like, we have to stand up and do something better. So that next day, call my HR staff. Hey, guys, let's get these people down here. Let's talk to them what's going on. And again, I chose to take a different approach to the people. So, hey, I know this is about to be a tough conversation. This is what I learned worked in life. Tough conversations. I heard you did drugs last night. I know you don't want to talk about it. Even if you did, we got to talk about it. Of course, they throw a big fit, becomes a big thing, and then they call the cops on me. We have cops involved on me. They're ruining my Nashville Open. This was about 5 of them involved. I'm stressed out in Nashville, but I go on. I let it go. I move on. We get to the grand open in Nashville, which is just about 3 weeks away. So grand open in Nashville. Remember Cade? Remember his name? 1 week after opening, there had been a couple red flags with Cade. He'd come down. He was a little different. I didn't have the conversations I should have, and I should have said, hi, you're acting a little different. Let's have a hard conversation. But instead, I chose to not have that conversation. I wasn't fully mentally grown at this point. I didn't want to have hard conversations, just kind of want to turn the blind eye. So a week after opening, I get a phone call. I told nobody to bother me unless they were dying. And so when my general manager called me, I'm like, something's happening. And she told me Katie had been arrested. He had been arrested. He has embezzled all the county's money. He has been taken away. He is not getting out. And we think you need to sit down for the next sentence. And then that's when I found out he had stolen my business. And he had taken all our money. At this point, we had 70 employees, guys. I had 70 people who had quit their jobs, believed in me, and all I could think was, how did I get here?
How much money do you steal from you, Rose?
He stole 1.4 million. How did I get here? How was I semi-successful but so stressed out, but I got all these people on my side and I'm a Christian? How did I get here? What did I do wrong, right? What did I do wrong? That was the worst day of my life. Now your worst day, maybe a little different. But all I could think was, I made it through drugs. I didn't get caught. I've done good things with my life. Like, how could it be right here in this moment? Because now I'm 4 hours away from home. I got a store running in Jonesboro, and they're devastated. They don't know what to do. Cade runs all our money, and they can't be there for me. And I'm in Nashville, Tennessee, and we finish the day somehow. I just fight or flight kicks in. I cry through the whole day, and I make it through the day. Get back to my apartment in Nashville. Of course, I drink just a little bit and break down. But I kept it contained. At least I drank within my home, and I stayed there, right? And then I get a call in the morning and this is 2020, back when COVID was high, and in big cities, lots of riots were happening, and people were busting out and busting up businesses. Well, I got a call that morning. I called the whole staff off because I knew I couldn't complete the day and I couldn't terrorize everybody another day. But the first day, we had taken all those people's money. The last thing I was going to do is be a stealer like he was, right? And a worker called me. Rose, I'm up here. She's supposed to be there at 6:30 in the morning. And your whole store is busted up. So all I can think is, okay, this is even worse. Like, here's another beat down. I wasn't quite this calm. Go up to the store. It wasn't just the riots. It was those workers I had made mad back in Jonesboro who were on drugs, who were in my facility. So I'm like, how would they think it's okay to do that to me? Like, how much more can I take? How much more can I handle, right? I stay in Nashville trying to figure out what to do. Nashville's saying keep going, but COVID's bad. Well, my family's in shambles, and they tell me it's bad. You need to come home. So I decided to make a trip home to Jonesboro, try to make a sound decision, shut the store down for a day, call it a holiday because it was Memorial Day, June 29th. What's that holiday? Whatever. It's not Memorial, it's the one after that. Anyway, so we took an extended holiday. I come home, and I met with lawyers, people ready to, like I did something bad. And it's all the county people. So I'm like, I feel like I've done something wrong, right? Well, we get to the bottom of it. I've done nothing wrong. I have to prove that no, I have not embezzled any money. And I won that battle. But what I didn't win is I didn't win 70 people's jobs back, and I didn't get my business back. Now, I could have kept going. I could have. But can you imagine keeping going after a terrible thing, right? So you're like, where's the motivation in that, Rose? I did keep going in a different way. I decided to shut my doors to my food. I don't know why. I have pretty good intuition. I don't know. And I just decided, I just saw everybody's trauma. I saw what they had been through. They had already been through enough with me. And at this point, it wasn't about them, it was about me. And I didn't think I could keep going. I knew I needed to do something that worked for me. Because then I had to call staff meeting and tell 40 people in the Jonesboro store, you don't have a job starting tomorrow, and I can't pay you your last week's paycheck. And they all were very kind to me. Very good, very kind. That helped my decision. But I knew I needed to do something with my life, right? Like, how did I deserve all that? How did I get there? Well, I immediately said, I've got to do something. I'm a CEO. This is not going to be my story. And it wasn't a beautiful road to that, but I took 3 days off, and I cried. And I had this little twisted dough thing that we had served in one of our meal preps. And I actually had some encouragement. My social media manager online was like, this is kind of my income, and I'm going to work for free until you get more income because, I need your income. So she kind of helped nudge me along. Well, nobody had jobs, so it's not like they could do anything besides work for free. A couple of them, Mariah to this day that's at our shop, my mom, my dad, said, we'll be right there by you. Or a couple of them said, we'll be back there until we get a new job. So at that point, I went home and went to a super dark place. If you can imagine the public writing about you, that you stole the money, that you did this, that you did that, making up stories about you that are or aren't true. And I had to get off. I got off social media, and I thought at this moment, this is where I go in a deep dark hole, and I do things to myself that are going to make me feel better, that I think are going to make me feel better, or I do what I started out doing, which was dreaming. And all I had to do was dream again and do. I didn't know how I was going to do. Didn't know how I was going to do in an emotional state as I was in. I'd go to work and I would literally scream and cry on the line trying to make cookie dough, and people let me do that. But at least this time I went to them and go, I don't know how I'm going to make it through this. I need you to be there for me. I need you to this is not to you. I'll make sure I don't scream and cry at you. I need to get it out, because when you're going through those deep times, I know a big portion of that is like, maybe you keep it within you. Maybe you keep it in your head, or you think nobody wants to hear it. But I'm here to tell you, it's not good in there, right? That's when you can self-sabotage or choose to do the wrong things or go down deep, dark holes. There are many nights I went down deep, dark holes. I should have ended up on drugs. I should have ended up an alcoholic. A lot of people ask me, how did you not end up in a terrible spot? Everybody that goes through something, almost anybody I know in the world, goes through this weird phase, right? A bad phase, because they think that's going to make them feel better. But I knew what the drug phase looked like already. I knew I didn't want to do that. I was like, that's not going to make me feel better. I hated the way I felt on them, right? You feel better off them, you just don't know in the moment because you think you gotta get to that feeling. So this time I thought, I'm going to challenge myself, and I'm going to make myself grow, and I'm going to have those conversations, those hard conversations in my head. And I have those hard conversations with the people around me to get myself through this, And that's when I really realized I wasn't communicating. My mom, I'd never even seen my dad. What?
I don't know what they look like.
Oh, you're telling them. That's when I had never seen my dad cry. My dad was an emotional person. He didn't share I love yous growing up. That's when I realized sitting my dad down and telling my dad how I felt. I didn't have a lot of people. I just had my family. I was always too busy entrepreneuring. I gave up everything. I gave up dating. I gave up going to dinners. I missed family functions because I thought entrepreneurship was more important. And that's when I realized that no matter how crappy I treated people the entire time of trying to get to the top, they were there for me when I was at my worst. And they felt it with me. And those are people that had I've done some terrible things to, or I'd said the things I didn't want to, or treated that way. So that's that point in my life when I said, I'm going to grow. I'm going to be different from this. I'm not going to let this terrible situation define who I am. My trauma is not going to be what happened to me. It's going to be whatever I become out of it. Now, I didn't know what I was going to become out of it at all. At all. I literally was in like this 500 square foot facility, mixing dough by hand, kind of crying over it, getting on social media, telling my story, and starting to have the hard conversations out loud. Sometimes I would just have them out loud on social media just to have them because I may not have anybody who wanted to have the hard conversation with me. So a lot of the times you're going to have to start having those hard conversations with yourself. You're going to have to start challenge yourself. What's something you need to improve on? What's a place you don't want to be at? Who do you want to be, right? And then me doing that, let's just fast forward, me taking who I thought I wanted to be, I dreamed it up, and then I started to do it. And Twisted Dough went from 100 jars to 10,000 jars in the first year, to my dad needed to retire. He was so tired of it, to me needing to get real workers, to then 20,000 jars, to social media people liked what I'd get on and kind of share on my heart, and they get behind my company, to now where all that trouble, all that story comes to right now. 3 years later, well, this is going on 4, it's 2024 now. 3 years and 4 months later, now I see why I went through what I went through. Now I could have chose a different path all the way up until this 3 years, and I wouldn't be here, I can tell you that, because it has taken grinding work for 3 years and 4 months. But now, literally just a couple weeks ago, getting back home from London on the show, I'm like, now I see why everything was taken from me. Now I see why somebody chose to do something terrible to me. It was just going to be part of my story. It's not who I was. I didn't let it define who I was. But I had enough growth, or the challenging part of myself, to say, I'm going to do something different. It definitely should have ended up in a dirty, dark place, right? Because of Cade? No. Whatever you're going through, whatever you're going to go through, because you will, it still hits me all the time in different ways. I had to fire my best friend 2 days before I left for London. I mean, you're going to go through things. I've already gone through being hacked, having thousands of dollars stolen from me. My things now I'm going through are different. But you know what? Each time I start going through things now, I remember the choice I made on the other end of that, saying, I'm going to do something different this time. And I tell people all that all the time, still now on social media, like it's about growing. And people say, what do you mean you grow? I'm single, by the way. And even dating, I'll ask guys, are you working on yourself? I'm like, what do you mean working on myself? So I'm gonna ask you, are you working on yourself? And people say, oh yeah, I work on myself every day. No. Like, do you wake up and have something you're gonna work on every day? It could be the stupidest thing, but it gives you drive. And people say, how are you at where you are today? I'm like, well, I'm willing to put a lot more hours, and it's not even about hours. I'm willing to put a lot more passion and drive into what I do. And that really stems back to, well, I have a tattoo. I got that when I met my social media manager 6 years later, who encouraged me to keep going. And my name's Rose, and it was Rise, Overcome, Survive, and Evolve. And I spent so many years trying to survive what happened to me to evolving to where I'm at today. So, funny enough, a little girl I just hired is helping me with my social media since I'm going on the show, and we can talk about it in a minute. She's like, that's the Rose you were. That's the Rose you were. You did all the things, you went through all these things, he did that to you, but now you're not. Let's see if I can remember the 4 words, because she just gave them to me yesterday. I'm rebranded, optimistic, strong, and empowered. And that's the Rose I am today. It wasn't because somebody helped me along the way. It wasn't because I had people, family, you're going to do it and waiting for me and helping me do it on the way. That's because I chose to make those decisions. And damn, it feels good today. Sorry, I'm cussing on that one. And it feels good today. And today, now I was just telling my staff how beautiful it is. I went through some terrible staff for 3.5 years, y'all. The worst staff, the people that just did wrong things to me, bad. And I got home from London, and the staff I have now, we try to buckle down before the show launches next week. I was like looking at all my staff, and I'm like, this feels good. It's normal. They're all normal. They're all here for each other. They're all supportive of each other. They all get along. They all treat each other well. They all speak to each other well. And that's also because of the way I run my facility, the way I choose to treat people. Me and Brooks come in every day. Hi, what's up, guys? Now, it's too much for some people. We get it. But some people need that, right? So can you be the light in somebody's life? Do you have that personality where you can be that hype man? Because I'm telling you, I'm like, dude, Brooks' energy is like, it's all day. You wish you could say he is so fake, but dude, this is all day with him. But you know what? Some people are like, dude, I would have I'm crashing at 3 o'clock every day. Not Brooks, he's got you, and he's right back up. And that's kind of how I am as an entrepreneur. So we'll talk about the show next. I did get to go to Gordon Ramsay's TV show. And that is also now, I'm like, when they called back in November, or they sent me a text message and said, will you apply for Gordon Ramsay's TV show? I'm like, what? Why? And then I'm like, it's like the world saying they're sorry to me. It was weird. Except I had a terrible staff then, so I couldn't even imagine leaving. And could you imagine leaving your business after the one time you did, everything got taken, right? So it was a very big step for me. But I thought, I'm going to believe in myself. I'm going to literally believe in myself, and I'm just going to take the leap. I'm going to go for it. I'm going to do it. So I go through this. I find out I'm going to get casted on the TV show, and I have to fire my best friend 2 days before I leave. Now, that was nerve-wracking. But then those people I love that you talk about, they're there in your corner. If you truly do treat people right, they'll step up in the weirdest, hardest moments. So here I am, need to go across the world on this TV show. I have nobody to run my facility. Now I see 4 or 5 people from my life go, we'll be here while you're gone. You're going. You're not going to let somebody punish you this time you're not getting punished for what somebody else did. And so although you're probably going to have to scratch, claw, and fight your way to the top sometimes, you're going to have to remember, no matter what you're going through, it's not who you are then, it's what you're going to be. It might be 2 weeks from now and you'll see. Might be 2 months or might be 2 years. And that waiting, I'm telling you, sucks. But when you get to the point wherever you're at, maybe you'll have a dream career. Maybe you just wanted to live in California. Maybe you wanted to swim with dolphins. Whatever you wanted to do, when you do that and you experience that, you're going to say, this is why I fought tooth and nail to get right where I was.
Not run from your problems.
Don't run from, that's all I encourage all day is don't run from your problems. Rise, overcome, survive, and evolve. Don't let it be who you are. Have the hard conversations. Tell people how you feel in a nice way. And the best thing I can tell you, how people always follow me because my energy, my passion, whatever. But it doesn't mean they loved me during that time I told you I treated them bad, right? But people follow me now and love, my workers, I still have some from 6 years ago. She's like, you are a different human. And it is the most beautiful thing to watch somebody go through something and chose not to be bad when she got given bad, but chose to be better, even better than we already knew you were. And we're not good, but you're up here, Rose. We hold you higher than everybody else, so you need to be better. So I'll hold you to that standard today. Everybody needs to think like that. You need to be up here. You need to be better at all times. Because if you are, the world will give you thanks. The world will give you back. And sometimes the world doesn't give you back. And it doesn't mean you go do something bad. It doesn't mean you choose to make a wrong decision.
I'm gonna piggyback on that. It's easy to feel sorry for yourself, like poor me, and then go abuse your body with drugs, because you want to hurt yourself. So just
Yeah. So all I can say is I brought my stuff today. It's a protein dessert dough. We actually make multiple products. This is just one of them, and just one flavor. But we brought you guys some today. Maybe you don't like protein products. That's all right. But this is 20 grams of protein. It's just a healthy dessert dough. It's gluten-free, sugar-free. And if you remember why I said I started my first business, it's because I wanted to help change others' lives. And so even starting dough, I was like, I'm not changing any lives doing dessert now. But now, oh, y'all, now that I'm not just succumbed to Jonesboro, we're an e-commerce website and we ship nationwide. Sometimes we ship 400 packages a day. The comments I get from people, I'm changing their lives. They may be gluten-free and haven't eaten. They may be bariatric, which means way overweight, and they had surgery and like eating was a problem. They may just can't eat. I had a guy come in yesterday at the shop and he had a disease happen to him and he can't eat any kind of certain foods, and this has really changed him. So even though mine may be a product that helps change people's lives, yours could be your words. Yours could be just being there for somebody when you're at work or you're out here. Yours could be anything you want it to be. You find something you're good at and you use that to help the world. You can always help the world in some way, shape, or form.